we are doing the chronotype in the Times EZZ study. Would you be able to give a brief summary of chronotype? And then we have a few questions come in about chronotype.
So chronotype is the description of is where you are most comfortable working during the 24-hour day. And of course, most of us are somewhere in the middle, about 65%, but 10% are morning types, and about 25% tend to be later types. As I say, most of us are intermediate to later types. What's the basis for chronotype? Well, as we touched on, it's your genes. So we know that subtle changes in some of the clock genes can actually nudge you to be an earlier chronotype. There's a condition called familial advanced sleep phase syndrome. Those individuals will want to be in bed and asleep around about 7 o'clock in the evening and then getting up between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. Their whole clock has advanced through time. So there's subtle changes in genes. The second is how old we are. So from the age of 10, there's a tendency to want to go to bed later, peaking in our late teens, early 20s, and then a slow move to a more morning chronotype again. So by the time you're in your late 50s, early 60s, you're wanting to get up and go to bed at about the time you got up and went to bed at 10, 11, 12. That sort of. The key point is that somebody in their late 50s, early 60s will want to go to bed on average 2 hours earlier than they did when they were in their late teens, early 20s. So you're sort of, so you've got your genes, you've got development, and that's almost always associated with the changes in hormonal, the sex steroids, so through puberty, and then as those hormones decline into old age. And the third is, I'm going to be a complete light bore, but it's when you see light. So morning light, advancing the clock, dusk light, delaying the clock. And we've shown in university students around the world that the later the chronotype, the more evening light they got versus morning light. So it's the one variable that we can control and nudge a late chronotype to a morning chronotype by getting up and getting morning light that will advance the clock from a delayed position.
Russell, we got a question from an audience member about how they know if they're a lark or an owl, for example. Now, there's a range of different chronotyping tools out there. We're using the Munich chronotype test for the Times EZZ study. Can you say a little bit about what that is, what's available, and what the output looks like for that?
Well, it's all on about a basis of scales. And so the scale will indicate whether you're typically a morning type, an intermediate type for most people, or a late type. And so that's the feedback that you'll get from the questionnaire. And there are a number of questionnaires. So there's, of course, the Munich Sleep Questionnaire developed by Till Rönneberg, which we've been allowed to use in the trial, which is fantastic. I used a questionnaire, an old questionnaire, but it's very robust, which is the Horn-Osberg questionnaire, which is in the public domain, and that's in the back of the book Lifetime, and that works well. The difference between the two is quite interesting, because what Till did was to define what's your preferred sleep on work days versus free days, and on the basis of the difference when you wanted to get up biologically on a free day versus when you were forced to get out of bed because of the alarm clock, he called that social jet lag. And so he was comparing sleep on free days versus work days. The other questionnaires don't do that, and the Rönneberg questionnaire is great in most cases, but if you're retired and you don't have free days and work days, or if, for example, you have an illness where you can't work, it's very difficult to often answer free days versus work days. So that's the difference in the questionnaires.
Right. As you know, Russell, we're offering the Munich chronotyping questionnaire as part of the Times EZZ study. And I guess importantly for participants of the study, you will be able to get your chronotype, but that feature isn't rolled out just yet. It will be coming, though.
Yeah. And the great thing about the Munich questionnaire is you get as far as I'm aware, still a nice feedback, and you're told where you are, because what Till has developed is a massive database of millions of individuals, and you'll know roughly where you sit amongst the population of around the world. Now he's got people in the questionnaire. Yeah.